Have you ever heard a story so strange, so chilling, that it just sticks with you? Well, get ready for one of the most baffling mysteries in aviation history. This isn't just about a plane that vanished. It's about what happened decades later, something that defies all logical explanation. It's a tale of phantom signals, a voice from the past, and a message from the deep that still has experts scratching their heads. Our story begins with Flight 2501, a DC-4 aircraft that took off from New York City on June 23, 1950. Its destination was Seattle, with 55 passengers and 3 crew members on board. Everything seemed perfectly normal. The flight was routine, the crew was experienced, and the weather, while not perfect, was manageable. The last known communication from the pilot, Captain Robert C. Lind, was a request to descend to a lower altitude over Lake Michigan due to turbulence. After that, silence. Flight 2501 simply vanished from the radar. An enormous search and rescue operation was launched immediately. The U.S. Coast Guard, Navy, and state police from multiple states scoured the vast expanse of Lake Michigan. They found small, tantalizing clues: a blanket bearing the airline's logo, fragments of an armrest, some seat cushions, and most disturbingly, human remains. But the main wreckage, the fuselage, the engines, the black box, nothing. It was as if the massive aircraft had been swallowed whole by the lake, leaving behind only whispers of its existence. For years, the fate of Flight 2501 was a tragic but closed chapter, another unsolved puzzle in the annals of aviation. But then, decades later, the story takes a turn from tragic to utterly bizarre. It all started with a man named Stephen Liberty. In the late 1980s, Liberty was a diver and a shipwreck enthusiast. He became obsessed with finding the lost wreckage of Flight 2501. He spent countless hours poring over old reports, studying lake currents, and interviewing anyone who might have a piece of the puzzle. His dedication was incredible. He believed he could succeed where the massive official search had failed. One day, while scanning the lake bed with his sonar equipment, something extraordinary happened. His equipment picked up a signal, but it wasn't a sonar ping or a random blip. It was a clear, distinct Morse code signal. ... SOS. The universal distress call. Liberty was stunned. The signal seemed to be originating from a specific location deep beneath the surface of Lake Michigan. But how could that be possible? Any electronic equipment from 1950 would have been destroyed and corroded beyond use after decades underwater. He meticulously recorded the coordinates and the signal. As he analyzed it further, the mystery deepened. The Morse code wasn't just a simple SOS. It was a longer, more complex message. Liberty, using his knowledge of historical codes, began to decipher it. The content was bone-chilling. The message being broadcast from under the lake was an exact match to the last known radio transmission from Captain Lind of Flight 2501. The very same words, the same request to change altitude, echoing from the depths nearly 40 years after they were first spoken. Think about that for a second. It's one thing to find wreckage. It's another thing entirely to receive a live, repeating broadcast from it. It just doesn't make any sense from a technological standpoint. How could a 1950s radio submerged in fresh water for decades not only survive, but actively transmit a complex message? The power source alone is an impossible problem to solve. But the story gets even stranger. Liberty wasn't just picking up Morse code. His radio equipment started receiving something else. It was a voice broadcast, a calm, professional voice, reading out search and rescue procedures. At first, he thought it might be a modern Coast Guard transmission. But as he listened closely, he realized the procedures were archaic. They were the exact search and rescue protocols that would have been used in the 1950s. The terminology, the methods, the frequencies mentioned, they were all hopelessly outdated, a ghostly echo of the original search effort. It was as if time had folded in on itself over that one spot in the lake. Now you might be thinking, okay, this is where they find the plane, right? This is the climax of the story. Stephen Liberty, armed with these impossible signals, pinpointed the exact location. He organized a dive expedition, convinced he was on the verge of solving the 70-year-old mystery once and for all. He descended into the cold, dark waters of Lake Michigan, his heart pounding with anticipation. reached the coordinates from which the signals had been so clearly broadcasting. And what did he find? No wreckage, no twisted metal, no fuselage, no engines. He swept the area with a magnetometer, a device that detects large metal objects. Nothing. The lake bed was barren, just sand and silt. The source of the Morse code, the origin of the 1950s voice broadcast, was simply not there. The signals had been clear, they had been verifiable, they had led him to a precise spot, and at that spot there was a complete and total void. Signals just stopped. So what on earth was going on? This is where the story leaves the realm of a typical mystery and enters something else entirely. Skeptics, of course, have their theories. Some suggest it was all an elaborate hoax by Stephen Liberty, a way to gain fame and funding for his expeditions. But Liberty always maintained the truth of his account, and he seemed genuinely perplexed by what he had experienced. He wasn't a man seeking the spotlight. He was a serious researcher who stumbled upon something he couldn't explain. Another theory points to equipment malfunction. Could his sonar and radio equipment have been picking up stray signals, perhaps from a distant source, and misinterpreting them as coming from under the lake? This is known as radio ducting or atmospheric bounce, where signals can travel for very long distances under the right conditions. Perhaps he picked up a historical reenactment or a broadcast from a museum. But this doesn't fully explain the precision of the location. The signals weren't just a vague whisper. They were strong enough to give him a specific set of coordinates. Then there are the more unconventional explanations. Some people have linked the disappearance of Flight 2501 to the strange phenomena of the Lake Michigan Triangle, an area known for unusual disappearances and strange sightings, similar to the Bermuda Triangle. Could the phantom signals be some kind of paranormal echo? A stone tape phenomenon where a traumatic event is somehow recorded into the environment and replays itself under certain conditions? It sounds like science fiction, but when faced with a complete lack of a logical explanation, people start looking for other possibilities. Imagine being Stephen Liberty. You dedicate your life to finding a lost plane. You receive what seems to be a direct communication from that very plane, a ghost in the machine. It guides you to a specific spot. A digital X marks the spot. And then you get there and it's empty. The disappointment must have been immense, but the confusion must have been even greater. It's a mystery within a mystery. The first is, where is Flight 2501? The second, and perhaps more profound mystery, is what was the source of those impossible signals? To this day, the main wreckage of Flight 2501 has never been found. It remains one of the Great Lakes' most sought-after shipwrecks. And the story of the Phantom Morse code has become a legendary part of its lore. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the universe presents us with puzzles that have no easy answers. Was it a hoax, a technical glitch, or something else entirely? Something that brushes up against the very edge of our understanding? We may never know for sure. The story of the phantom signals from Flight 2501 is more than just a ghost story. It's a testament to the enduring power of mystery and the human desire to find answers, even when none seem to exist. It forces us to question our assumptions about technology, about time, and about the world around us. What do you think happened? Let me know your theories down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoy diving into the unexplained, make sure to subscribe for more.